Race in America, scene one, take one, Mark.
Hi everybody, it's Tony Soto here. I am an internet personality, and I'm from Los Angeles, California. Oh, you mean like for real? In life? And I'm originally from Central Illinois. Privilege is like a drug. It feels great, you want it really bad, but you don't admit to having it when you're in mixed company. My story is a little different. As mentioned earlier, I was raised in Central Illinois to a mixed family, my mother being white and my father being Mexican. My dad jumped the fence and settled in a very small town in Central Illinois where he illegally worked making china vases in a factory, where he then met my mother, a cute little demure white lady with a bandana, a flannel shirt, and bell-bottom jeans. They met at work. I like to imagine it was like, you know, in the distance they saw each other, their eyes met, and blah, blah, blah. But it was like they were so opposite that when they had their first date, they had an interpreter. They didn't even have like a one-on-one date. It was like Mom, Dad, and Juan, you know, like sitting there who knew both English and Spanish. Well, needless to say, they just fell in love and they had 3 wonderful mixed race children. Ta-da! I was the best one. I vaguely remember being unpopular because we were one of the only few mixed-raced families in my hometown of 8,000 people. My mother always told us stories about how people would drive by and chuck rocks at us when we were playing outside and yelling, you know, bad names that they call the Mexican people and whatnot. So, I mean, my father had a very distinct goal when he came to the United States. His goal was to try to live the American dream, live that sweet life, get that white privilege that y'all have and y'all just take for granted. He worked very hard to go up the economic ladder and, you know, better his life and get a nicer house and get that VCR. You know, everyone wanted a VCR and cable and central air back in the, like, you know, 80s or whatever it is. You wouldn't know. He ultimately did do pretty darn well for himself, but I think at a cost and at a price for us. I always knew I was Mexican, you know, like I always knew I was a Mexican because my dad had an accent and all my friends reminded me they couldn't understand him. We had Mexican food on a regular basis. We were Catholics, you know, like, so I knew that we were some sort of brown. But I was raised not to really adhere to that or to acknowledge that. I was raised to try to fit in with cracker America. Like, I was raised to be a white person. I was always raised to be grateful that I was light-skinned, that, you know, that people thought I was Italian and not so much Mexican. He never spoke Spanish to us. I didn't even know we had Mexican relatives until they all started showing up in droves moving into my house while they got settled. After all of these relatives started showing up and all of a sudden my Mexicanness got a lot more real to me, that's kind of when I started putting things into perspective and trying to understand that perhaps a whole part of me, my whole culture was kind of withheld from me. And I don't want to speak for my dad, but I feel like it was withheld from me because he was ashamed of it. He spent his life in Mexico trying to escape that poverty, and now I've been to where he was from. When you have to take a truck up a mountain to go to a shanty, that ain't no place to live, you know? So I understood his desire, his need, his want to be gone. I didn't, and I don't still understand why he had to keep it from us. When I started to learn to accept where I'm from and who I am and what I am, it also made me very aware that I really kind of hated who I was and where I came from and what my roots were, and that I was really embarrassed that no one could understand my father. You never want to have that kind of hatred about yourself or your roots because you have no control over that. And now I live my life as a very proud Latino person, but I definitely feel like I was cheated out of my culture. And I feel like this stems from the idea that, yeah, the American dream is beautiful and it's wonderful, but the American dream layout and format doesn't always fit a different culture's lifestyle. And because my father wanted that so bad, the American dream so bad, he was willing to just shrug off everything that happened before that and withheld it from his kids and made us embarrassed of it when we should have actually been celebrating it.
Thanks for watching Raised in America. Go ahead and like this video, leave a comment, tap here to subscribe, and tap here to keep watching.